After my mother-in-law tossed my belongings into the river and said, "We wash you out of this family," my husband walked away. I watched the current swallow everything I owned. Years later, when they saw what rose back to the surface at their doorstep, their voices. I met my husband, Jonah, when I was 21. We worked together at a startup. I was just out of school, broke and still grieving my dad's death. He was a few years older, polished, calm, and came from a family that looked like something out of a Christmas catalog. I didn't grow up with much. My dad raised me by himself, working as a mechanic. He was kind, blunt, and tired all the time. He died before he ever got to meet Jonah. Jonah's family was nothing like mine. His mom was the type of woman who hosts charity events and gives lectures about family values like she invented the concept. His father barely spoke to me. When he did, it was always about something I could improve. His sisters were cold from day one. Not rude, worse. Polite in a way that made you feel like you didn't belong in the room. Like I was a guest they couldn't wait to leave. I noticed it early, but I told myself I was just being insecure. That I needed to try harder. That they'd come around. They never did. In the beginning, Jonah stood up for me. At least a little. When his mom joked about how I probably didn't grow up with cloth napkins, he rolled his eyes and changed the subject. When his sister asked if I'd ever been to Europe and laughed when I said no, he told her to knock it off. But as time went on, he stopped doing even that. The wedding was small. His family paid for it, but they insisted on controlling everything. I had one friend as my bridesmaid. He had 4 groomsmen, all family. His mom wore white. She gave a speech that didn't mention me once. Jonas said I was overreacting. The first year of marriage was quiet. I spent most of my time trying to prove I could be part of their world. I'd bring homemade food to family dinners, offer to help with everything, compliment their house, their clothes, their lives. I got used to being invisible. I thought if I stayed grateful, they'd let me in. They didn't. 3 years in, Jonah started traveling more for work. Gone for days at a time. He'd come back tired and distracted. He stopped talking to me about anything real. No fights. No big arguments. Just distance. One night, I got home to find my key to the house didn't work. It was a duplicate key his mom had given me for their lake house. Jonah told me there was a change in the locks and that it wasn't a big deal. I still don't know what changed in him. Maybe it was always there. The breaking point came fast. Jonah had been gone for a few days, and his mom called me. She said she needed help setting up at the lake house for a cousin's engagement party. I didn't want to go. I hadn't been invited to that cousin's wedding and we hadn't spoken in over a year, but I said yes. I thought maybe this was the moment things would turn. I drove out there. It was a 2-hour drive. The lake house is isolated, beautiful, quiet. When I pulled up, I noticed something strange. There were no decorations. No cars. No sign of a party. Just my things. All of them. Boxes piled on the dock. My journals. My clothes. My childhood photo albums. The blanket my dad used to wrap me in when I was little. Even my passport. I walked closer. I thought maybe it was a mistake. Then I saw her, his mother, standing at the edge of the dock with her 2 sisters. All 3 of them dressed like they were going to church. Calm. Straight-backed. She looked at me like I was trash. She said, word for word, "We wash you out of this family." Then she pushed the first box into the water. I didn't move. I couldn't. I watched as everything I owned, the few things I had left of my dad, of my life before them, started to float, then sink. One by one. She pushed another box in, then another. I heard her sister laugh. Then I heard footsteps behind me. Jonah. He came out of the house. He looked at the dock, at me, at the water. I thought for 1 second he would run over. Say something. Stop it. He didn't. He looked right at me, then turned around and walked back inside. No words. Nothing. I stood there for a long time. Then I got in my car and drove away. No one called. No one checked in. I stayed with a friend for a while. Found a room to rent. Started working again. I didn't take legal action. I didn't even tell many people. I was too ashamed. I lost years after that. Years trying to feel like I existed again. But I didn't forget. And I didn't let go. 3 years after it happened, I hired someone. A local diver. He did work for missing persons, boat accidents, anything involving the river. Asked him if it was possible to find anything that had been thrown in years earlier. He told me most people think rivers destroy. But really, they preserve. It took him a while. Months, actually. But he found them. My journals. Some of the photo albums. A small carved box my dad had made for me when I was a kid. It was water damaged, warped, but still there. Still mine. I spent the next few years restoring everything I could. Not because I needed them to be perfect, just because I needed to undo what they did. I waited. Not to get revenge. Not even to make them hurt. I waited for the moment it would matter. That moment came not long ago. Jonah got married again. Her name is Brittany. I saw the announcement online. Huge wedding, photos all over his mom's Facebook. His mother wore white again. This time, smiling like she'd finally gotten what she wanted. I sent them a wedding gift, in the same box they had thrown into the river. I mailed the box the same week as their wedding. No return address. No note. Just the box. I wrapped it exactly how it had looked when I first saw it, sinking, water-stained corners, the lid slightly warped. I didn't fix that part. I wanted them to know it was the same one. Inside, I packed the journals. The soaked pages had dried crooked, some words smeared, but enough was still there. I also included the photo of me and my dad by the river, the one they threw away without thinking. The one the diver found half buried in silt. I didn't expect a reply. That wasn't the point. I wanted them to see it, to hold it, to realize nothing ever really disappears. A week went by. Silence. Then I got a text. From a number I didn't know. It said, "Why would you do this to her?" That's all. I didn't answer. I didn't need to. 2 days later, I got an email. From Jonah. Subject line. Talk. I opened it. It was one sentence. She read everything. I sat with that for a long time. I hadn't even thought about Brittany reading my journals. But of course she would. Of course curiosity would get to her. She probably thought it was a wedding gift from an old friend, something meaningful, nostalgic. I don't know how far she got before she realized what she was holding. Some of those journals were just memories. Some were letters I'd written, but never sent. One entry, the one I know broke through, was from the night they threw my life into the water. I had written down everything. Every word. What his mother said. What he didn't say. How I watched the box holding my father's ashes float for 3 seconds before it sank. Yes, they dumped his ashes too. They were in a carved wooden urn in that box. I hadn't told anyone that part until now. I didn't answer Jonah's email. A few days later, I got another message. This time from Brittany. It wasn't what I expected. Subject. I'm sorry. I didn't know. She wrote that Jonah had told her I was unstable. That I left the marriage suddenly. That I had taken money and disappeared. She believed him. She said his mother told her I was temporary. That I'd always had one foot out the door. She apologized for not questioning more. Then she said something that knocked the air out of me. They did it to someone else. Before you. I stared at that sentence over and over. She explained that when she started dating Jonah, his ex before me, a woman named Mara, had reached out to her once. She never responded. Jonah said Mara was a stalker. That she was obsessed and dangerous. She believed him. But after reading my journals, she looked Mara up. She found a blog Mara had started years ago. Just a few posts. But the language, the details, they were too similar. Disapproval. Isolation. Jonah pulling away. His mother turning cold. Then silence. No river that time. But the same pattern. I told her the truth. I emailed her back. Not everything, not yet. But enough. And then I told her about the ashes. She didn't respond for 3 days. When she did, it was a phone call. I almost didn't answer, but I wanted to hear her voice. She sounded small. Tired. And afraid. She said, "He's not who I thought he was." Then she told me what happened after she confronted him. She asked him directly, about me, about Mara, about the box. He didn't deny it. Not really. He said it had been complicated, that I was never happy, that his mother was just trying to protect the family. When she pushed harder, he snapped. He said, "Why are you still talking about her?
She's gone.
Let it stay buried." That's what he said. Let it stay buried. She told me she couldn't look at him the same after that. And then she said something that caught me off guard. "You weren't the only thing that came back." I asked her what she meant. She hesitated. Then she said she found something else in the box, a USB drive, tucked between 2 pages in one of the journals. I didn't even remember putting it there. I had no idea what was on it. She offered to send it back. I told her not yet. I needed to remember what it was first. That night, I tore through my old email accounts, old backups, trying to remember. Then I found it. A video. From my wedding day. Unedited. Taken by my friend Leah, who had a habit of recording everything.
Not the ceremony, the after.
A moment I'd forgotten. It showed Jonah's mother pulling him aside, whispering something. Then him looking over at me. Not lovingly. Like he was deciding something. Then it cut to later, me hugging Leah goodbye. She caught Jonah talking to his father in the background. His father said, "She's not going to last. You know that." And Jonah nodded. I know. They knew. Even then. They were never planning to keep me. I didn't sleep after watching the video. I must have replayed it 20 times. Every time, it hit harder. They knew. Before the vows. Before the cake. Before I even changed my name. They already knew they were going to throw me out. I was just a placeholder. But it wasn't the betrayal that kept me up that night. It was the possibility. If that USB drive had something that damaging buried in it, what else had I forgotten? What else had I documented back then and never looked at again? I emailed Brittany again and asked her to send a photo of the drive.
She did. Silver.
No label. It was the same one I used to use at work. That's when something clicked. I remembered now. That drive had copies of emails, screenshots, voicemails I had saved. Back when I started to feel like I was losing my mind, I began documenting everything. I thought I was being paranoid. I thought I was just trying to hold on to reality. But it turns out I was right to be afraid. I asked Brittany not to send it back yet. I told her to open the files. She hesitated, said she didn't feel right going through my things. But I insisted. I told her she needed to see what kind of family she married into. 2 nights later, she called me again. I barely recognized her voice. She said, "There's a folder labeled kitchen. Do you remember what that is?" I didn't. She continued, "It's a recording. I think it's a phone left on accidentally. Or on purpose." She was right. I had left my phone recording in Jonah's family kitchen during a family brunch when I had to step out. I had completely forgotten about it. In that recording, loud and clear, I heard his mother say, "She'll break eventually. We don't have to push hard." His sister, "What if she gets pregnant?" His mother, "She won't. He's not stupid." I told him to be careful. Then laughter. His aunt, "I still say she looks better crying. There's something so theatrical about her face." I sat there frozen. Brittany too. Neither of us said anything for a full minute. Then she asked, "Did Jonah know you recorded that?" "No," I said. "I didn't even know I did." And then Brittany said something I'll never forget. "I think he's scared now. But not of me. Of what's coming." I asked her why. She told me that earlier that week, she had caught Jonah going through her laptop. Not his. Hers. He said he was checking for updates. She knew he was lying. So she tested him. She created a fake folder on her desktop, titled it Finances, and placed a blank document inside. Then she left the house and waited. When she came back, the folder had been opened. And worse, her USB drive was missing. Not the one I sent. A different one. One she used for work. It had confidential client information on it. She confronted him. He said he had no idea what she was talking about. Played dumb. Got angry when she kept pressing. Walked out. That was 3 nights ago. He hasn't come home since. But here's where it gets worse. The next day, Brittany got an email from a burner account. No subject. Just a message. Stay in your lane. She tried to trace it. Nothing. Then I got one too. Same message. Stay in your lane. No one knew we were talking. No one knew we were working together. Except Jonah. And his mother. Brittany went to stay at a friend's. She's not safe in that house anymore, and she knows it. I offered to help, but she said she needed to figure out her next move on her own. Meanwhile, I went back through every file on my end. Every backup. Every journal. Every saved voicemail. And I found something else. A typed letter. From Jonah. Never sent. Dated 6 months before our wedding. It wasn't addressed to me. It was addressed to his ex, Mara. He wrote that he was sorry things ended badly. That his family pressured him. That he had to choose. But one line in the middle of the letter shook me. I know what we did was cruel. But it wasn't my idea. You know that, right? What we did. Not what happened. Not what they did. What we did. There's something deeper here. Something I still haven't uncovered. And whatever it is, Jonah is afraid of it resurfacing. I've been going over everything again. The journals. The USB drive. The letter to Mara. There's a pattern in it, but I couldn't see it before.
Until I talked to Mara.
Yes, I found her.
It took time.
Brittany helped me. She remembered part of Mara's last name from Jonah's email archives. He'd left an old Gmail tab open once on her laptop, and she took screenshots, not because she was snooping, but because she stopped trusting him months ago and felt like she had to protect herself. I found Mara through a private Facebook group. She doesn't use her real name online anymore, but her profile photo was unmistakable. I messaged her. Simple, respectful. You don't know me, but I think we have something in common. If you're open to a conversation, please let me know. She answered within 2 hours. We talked on the phone the next day. For 3 hours. She cried halfway through. So did I. And then she told me something I hadn't been prepared to hear. Jonah didn't just ghost her. He institutionalized her. They were engaged. I never knew that. He always said Mara was a toxic ex who got too attached. But they were together for almost 4 years. She said things started to go bad after he introduced her to his family. His mother didn't like her, thought she was unstable, too emotional, not God-fearing enough. The same things they said about me. Then one night, Jonah picked a fight. Out of nowhere. Accused her of cheating, of lying, of being dangerous. She didn't understand what was happening. The next morning, she woke up to 2 police officers at her door with a wellness check. His mother had filed a report claiming Mara had threatened to hurt herself. There was no evidence. But the report was official. It was enough for Jonah, with his family's lawyers, to push for a temporary psychiatric hold. Mara was kept in a hospital for 72 hours. During that time, Jonah blocked her number, deleted her from every social media account, and moved out of their shared apartment. She came home to nothing.
I didn't know what to say.
But then she asked me something. Did they ever mention a woman named Elise? I told her no. She said Elise was before her. Not officially a girlfriend, more like a long-term fling. Jonah kept off the radar. Mara only found out because Jonah's sister let it slip once at a family dinner. Elise left town suddenly.
Moved states.
Mara said she remembered because Jonah's mom called her a phase and said, "Thank God that ended clean." I wrote the name down. Elise. Mara.
Me.
Now Brittany. I don't think I was the first one they washed out. I think I was the middle. 2 days after that call, Brittany messaged me again. She'd found something while going through old storage in the guest room closet. A small cardboard box labeled Church Camp 2004. But when she opened it, it didn't have any church stuff in it. It had letters.
Dozens of them.
All handwritten. Some torn. Some burned at the edges. Some in envelopes. Some not. And they were all from women. Different names. All addressed to Jonah. Some sounded like teenage love letters. Others like emotional breakdowns. One just said, "Please stop. I can't keep doing this." Another, "Your mother came to my job today." And one more, the shortest of all, "You promised me I'd be safe." That one wasn't signed. Brittany is scared now. Not just anxious, scared. She said something doesn't feel right in the house. That sometimes, at night, she hears the back door unlock, then relock. Once, she thought she heard someone walking around downstairs at 2 a.m., but when she checked the security camera app, the feed had errors during that time. She tried to tell Jonah, but he brushed her off. Told her she's paranoid. Said she's starting to sound like my ex. That's when she left. She's staying at a hotel now. She won't tell me where. Said she doesn't trust anyone. Not even her own phone. She gave me one more file from the USB drive before she went quiet. It was an audio recording.
Not mine.
Not hers. Hers. From years ago. It had been buried in a subfolder labeled backup. I don't know how I had it. Maybe I copied it from Jonah's laptop back when we were still together. Maybe he was collecting things, storing them, keeping trophies. In the recording, Mara is talking to someone. She's crying, breathing hard, saying things like, "I don't know what's real anymore. They told me I imagined it, but I didn't. I know what I saw." Then silence. Then one sentence. Why would his mother have a key to my apartment? After I heard Mara's recording, her voice breaking, asking that question about the key, something snapped in me. All those years I'd spent trying to rebuild quietly, to be the bigger person, to convince myself that moving on was enough, I realized it wasn't. It never would be. Not for me. Not for Mara. Not for Elise. Not for Brittany. I had kept evidence for years without even realizing it. The emails. The recordings. The letters. Even the USB drive itself was a weapon. I wasn't going to hand it to lawyers and hope for the best. I knew how Jonah's family worked. Money, influence, private investigators, whisper campaigns. They would twist everything, drag all of us through court, and still walk away clean. So, I decided to use their own game against them. I called Mara again. We spoke for hours. She was still fragile, still scared, but she wanted the truth out as much as I did. Brittany joined us on a three-way call. We made a plan. It wasn't about hurting them physically. It wasn't about doing anything illegal.
It was about removing the mask. Publicly.
Permanently. The three of us compiled everything. Every file, every letter, every photo. We made copies. Sent them to people we trusted. And then Brittany, using the access she still had to the house, logged into Jonah's mother's computer. That's where she found the last piece. A folder named Referrals. Inside, notes about each of us.
Dates. Jobs.
Addresses. Even conversations we'd had in private, typed up word for word. They hadn't just been cruel. They'd been tracking us. Watching us. Planning how to cut us off, how to discredit us, how to make sure we stayed quiet. In one document about Mara, Jonah's mother had written, "Keep up pressure. Jonah will need to act soon." In one about me, "Do not allow pregnancy. Use his travel time. She will leave herself if isolated enough." In one about Brittany, "Be patient. Same pattern. She will break." I stared at those lines and felt something rise up inside me. Not rage. Not grief. Something colder.
Clearer.
We uploaded everything to a shared drive. But we didn't send it to the press. Not yet. We sent it to their own circle first. The church board. The donors from his mother's charity. His father's colleagues. Jonah's employer. We sent a single message with the link, "You should know who you've been dealing with." We didn't sign our names. Within 24 hours, the fallout began. The charity board resigned en masse. Jonah's father was asked to step aside from his company. The church canceled an upcoming fundraiser. Rumors started flying on social media. Jonah's mother went dark online, deleted her accounts. Jonah tried to call me. 6 missed calls. I didn't answer. Then he emailed me, "You've ruined everything. Are you proud of yourself?" I wrote back, "I'm proud I survived you." That was the last thing I sent him. A week later, Brittany called me again. She sounded lighter, stronger. She said Jonah had finally confronted her, screamed at her, told her she'd regret this. She told him she'd saved copies of everything. That if anything happened to her, anything at all, the files would go public under her name. Then she left him. Walked out with nothing but her bag and her laptop. 2 days after that, Mara posted her story online under her own name. She included scans of the police report from when she was institutionalized. It went viral. Other women started coming forward. Elise wrote me too. She'd seen Mara's post. She had her own story. Eerily similar. Not as severe, but the same pattern. It was never about me being not good enough. It was about control. Breaking women down. Making sure no one stayed long enough to see behind the curtain. Now the curtain was gone. And me? I'm not innocent either. That's what I've been thinking about these past few days. I stayed. I kept trying. I let them erase me piece by piece. I let Jonas stand by and do nothing while his mother destroyed the last things I had of my father. I told myself love meant enduring. But really it was fear. Fear of being alone. That's my mistake. But I'm done paying for it. This morning, a package arrived at my door. No return address. Inside was the urn. My father's ashes. The same one they dumped into the river.
Cleaned. Polished.
Wrapped in cloth. And a note. In Jonah's handwriting. It's over. You win.
I stared at it for a long time.
Then I took the urn to the river. The same place where they tried to wash me out of their family. I didn't throw it in this time. I stood there and held it. I realized something as the water moved below me. They tried to drown me, but all they did was teach me how to swim. And now they're the ones sinking. I turned around, walked back to my car, and didn't look back. That was the last time I'll ever go near that house, that family, or that river. And this is the last time I'll ever tell this story. Because it's not mine alone anymore. It belongs to all of us they tried to break. And we're not broken. We're still here. And they're not untouchable anymore.